What's up, everybody? Welcome to Chasing Green. Thanks for joining me. If you're new here, I've got all kinds of tip videos, gear reviews, lots of duck hunting footage, so consider subscribing if you hadn't already. But today we're going to be talking about how much should you be calling when you're duck hunting. In my experience, there's 4 basic levels that most people use when calling ducks, or 4 basic amounts. And these amounts can be loosely correlated to how much on the X you are. And again, I say loosely because this could vary. Now I'm going to talk about these 4 levels and kind of explain them, and then at the end I'm going to show you some real life examples that we filmed over the years during our duck hunts. The first level is the hardest one for me, and that's not calling at all. That's leaving your call in your pockets. What got me hooked on duck hunting in the very beginning was the interaction between the hunter and the ducks, the communication that goes on. That is what I love, so it is really hard for me to not blow my duck call. There are some places and some days where, you know, say ducks have been coming to this spot for 2 weeks every single day. When you see them, they're locked up. The only thing you can do by getting your call out or putting out decoys is mess things up. The ducks are already coming. Your highest chance of success is to just sit there and be quiet and wait on them. Now the second level is like the first. You're on the X, the ducks are already coming, but say it's a bigger area and maybe they're trying to land 100 yards off of you or 50 yards off of you. This is where you want to hit the ducks just once or twice, as little as possible. Only hit them as much as it takes to get them where you want to go. When you see them, they're locked up, they're coming, but maybe they start veering off, then you would want to hit them a time or two to put them where you want them to be. These levels can also be correlated to how new you are to calling. Obviously, the newer you are, the more experienced you are to blowing a duck call, the more on the X you want to be, so you don't have to rely on your call to do the work. Now, the third level is the most common level. It's what most duck hunters use day in and day out, and that's what I like to call tips and tails. This is when you're in the general area that the ducks want to be in, or you're under their flight path. You get their attention, and once they start circling, you're only calling at them when you see wing tips and tail feathers. This is general. There's variations to this. This is a good general place to start. You get the ducks' attention, they're looking at you, they're working. Now you only want to hit them at strategic times to keep them interested enough and in the right circle. This is going to vary depending on where you are, what's going on around you, and what the ducks are telling you to do, but a general rule of thumb is to keep them in a fairly tight circle until they get downwind. Once they get downwind, you want to give them about 75 yards is a good general rule of thumb to start with. Once they get 75 yards downwind, hit them and bring them back. This gives them enough room for the ducks to set up. If you're turning them too tight, the ducks will try to set up on you, get in there and back out. That's because, especially on days with no wind, they can be real picky on how much space they need to get right for the hole. And notice that I'm not talking about what kind of calls to use or how hard to blow at these ducks. And that's because that's going to change every single day. You have to really pay attention to the ducks and read the ducks to know, you know, should I be blowing a greeting, a feed, a single quack? You're just going to have to experiment to figure out what the ducks want on that day. Now the fourth level is my favorite level. This is where I like to be. This is what I like about duck hunting, and that's being very aggressive. We've had a lot of situations to where we're in spots to where if the ducks get past us or fly over, say that we have a lot of live ducks sitting behind us, we stand no chance. And those are the days that we really get on them. There's just sometimes that it works better if you talk them all the way down to the water, and that's when I really like it. I will say those days are much fewer than the other 3. You know, especially as the season goes on, that style of calling will a lot of times do you more harm than good. I want to throw out these 4 levels for you so you can kind of get the idea and get the big picture view of what's going on, but it really comes down to being able to read the ducks and figure out what they're telling you to do, because it's gonna change every day. What separates kind of the men from the boys in duck calling are the ones who can pay attention to the ducks, keep a mental note of what's working and what's not working, and adjust from there. That's what really makes a great duck caller. If you take anything away from this video, take that you need to learn to pay attention to what the ducks are doing and how they're reacting to what you're doing. Now, as I promised earlier, I'm just going to show you a few clips that we've gathered over the years. These are all really good examples of what I've been talking about here. And I think you'll really get a kind of a better idea of how much you need to be calling and how to read ducks above all. Now, this first clip I'm going to show you, me and my hunting buddy Glenn, we were just sitting here and we heard these ducks before we ever seen them. They were locked up from way up, definitely migrators, and we're zeroing in the spot we were at, but it was a large area. It wasn't like they were really just looking exactly where we were. They were just looking over the whole place that we were in. They were still pretty high, as you can see here. So I just give them a quick cadence there just to kind of let them know what's going on. But I kind of knew from the ducks I've been calling earlier that it was later in the morning. I didn't just get on them real hard here, as you can see. I just hit them that one time and immediately they wheeled back around and started coming back our way. Now right here, they're in their pass. This is their first good pass on us, and I actually made a mistake here. I hit them too soon. I should have let them get a little further out. But one of the reasons why I did that is if you look out in front of us there, a lot of ducks have actually been working out there all morning long, so I was trying to keep them from getting over that and kind of messing up. But as you can see, after I hit them here, I turn them too quick and it doesn't give them enough space to land. It doesn't give them enough space to work the hole, as I was talking about earlier. So they work back over us. After that point, this is the next pass, I just shut up. I knew they knew where we were. I knew that they wanted us. I could just tell by how locked on they were and how they were responding to each call. Every time I hit them, they like broke their necks trying to get back in there to me. And I knew that they wanted it. So I just shut up. And we finished them. So I'd be watching them real closely. If they started losing interest or started working another area, typically that's what happens. They'll start working another spot, and that's when I'll get on them again. But those finished in the hole. This next clip, we had just shot a group in the decoys, and actually Gus was out trying to pick the ducks up, and another group started working us. Now, one thing I want you to notice on this clip, one of the main things I see hunters not be able to do is to tell when the ducks are working you or they're working a spot next to you. And that's super crucial, as you're about to see in this video here. Now these three ducks are looking. There's no doubt they're looking. But see, right there they turned, and they're not even over the decoys yet. The decoys are to the bottom left here. Yeah, I've hunted with a lot of callers who would have no idea, what the ducks are saying when they do that. But what these ducks are saying by turning before they got there is that they're not locked on where we are. And I knew for sure on this next pass that they were not working us, but working a spot next to us, because they wheeled around and about tried to go in it, and you can hear me say, call them, because they need to be hit right now. It's now or never. When you see ducks doing this, you have to get on them until they respond.
Call them.
Not the best camera work here. That was by yours truly.
Work on them.
The two callers hit them just once apiece, and it was all that was needed. But we got those ducks in there simply by calling at the right time and calling in the right way. It was just two little shots was all they needed from two different callers, enough to get them in gun range. That's the difference between getting a group or not getting them. It's all about hitting them at the right time. Now here we were in a pretty wide open space. It was three callers, and there was a lot of ducks flying out in front of us, just a bunch of ducks. They were kind of flying a quarter mile out from us a long ways, and we were just getting down on them, giving them everything that we got, as you can hear right here. Calling to try to get their attention. A constant stream of groups of ducks flying out over this tree line in front of us, but ever so often we would break one off, as you're about to see here. And once we would break a group off, we'd quit calling. I hit them one time there. I try to see how they respond to it. I give them some space. Now they're about to get past the decoys, so I hit them one more time, because this is the crucial time. They're either about to commit to us or get past us. Like I said, these ducks didn't want this area. We completely broke them off their path, and they'd come over to check us out, but they never really showed a lot of interest. But as long as they were coming in our direction, we laid off and quit calling towards them. And I just hit them this one last time. That's what dreams are made of right there, boys. I'll walk miles for that. Now, if they had not responded to that, if half the group hadn't broke off and come on in, we would have got down on them again. We would have given them all that we could until we either ran them out or got them, pretty much. But they responded on the first hit. And so, you know, that's what I'm saying. You want to call as little as possible, but at the same time, as much as it takes, if that makes sense. Here's another instance where the ducks are working another spot other than where we were. This was a problem this whole morning. You can see here, I just gave them single quacks, and I'm throwing this out there and testing them. I'm seeing how they respond to it. Though they had swung around and were coming our direction, I could tell that they were still looking and locked on a spot down from us, and that's why I continue to call them here. And half the group broke off and came towards us. All morning, I could tell that these ducks were really liking that single quack. It's different every day. They would respond to my greeting and kind of turn to it, but that quack would really solidify them. It would really take them from kind of interested to really interested. And see, I turned that whole group with just a single quack. I got them off the spot they were originally looking at and put them on us by just that single quack. Now, we flared the first group, which we were in a terrible place. It was hard to get hit. But thankfully for us, the group did split, and the other group was still working us even though the first group flared. Now, as these ducks are about to hit the water, I knew that they had been kind of spreading out in this thick stuff all morning. So I knew that by the way they were responding to my call that I needed to stay on them here to get them to come all the way to me. If I'd shut up here, they would have landed out of gun range. Man, that's fun stuff. Those are the days I like right there. And that's just working a group of ducks.
They're looking right here to my back left. Don't move.
Now, this next set of clips is one of my favorites because it just really shows how much you have to change and be aware of what the ducks are telling you to do. So I started off by just giving them single quacks, as you can see. And a couple greetings. I see the ducks are turning off on me now, so I'm going to give them something to keep interested. And here's kind of the opposite of what you see in that last clip. I could tell here, both my last series of calls, you can hear that I did single quacks and then a greeting after it, and that's because the single quacks were having basically no effect on these ducks. But the greeting was turning them every time. See, they're coming back towards us now off that last greeting I just did. And one of them gave a feeder call, so I gave one back. See, that greeting call turned them again. The greeting call was really effective on this group. Single quacks, nothing. Hard green call, nothing. Another green call turns them back to me. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you got to just give them all that it takes. I hit them with that hard greeting. They didn't respond to it at all. I hit them with another hard greeting. They come back towards me. Going back and watching this, though, I can tell that I should have not been doing those single quacks. So they come back over us and work back, and they're trying to go back to where they've been working this whole time. And what really blew my mind about this whole thing was what sealed the deal for these ducks was the Drake whistle. Check this out. Notice how I throw in the greeting. Now, I love that. That clip right there shows you that you can't get stuck in a routine. I hardly ever use the Drake whistle, but I knew that it was going to take something that I was not currently doing to get these ducks. So, I mean, we only got 3 of those, but we wouldn't have got any if we had not kept experimenting, if we had not kept thinking outside the box and paying attention to what the ducks were telling us. They really responded to the greeting, and they really responded to the Drake whistle. You can see how much I threw at that group of ducks. I threw feed calls, single quacks, excited greeting, lazy greetings, Drake whistle. You know, that's 5 or 6 things, and it took that to get the 3 that we got. And that can be the difference between, you know, killing a limit one day and not. Another thing that'll make you a much better duck caller is understanding what ducks are saying. Click this video if you want to learn about that. Check this playlist out if you want to see some of our duck hunts from the past season where we actually put this stuff into use. Thanks for joining me today. I love you, and Lord willing, I'll catch you next time right here on Chasing Green.
Sometimes you're a fire, sometimes you're a ghost, sometimes you can give me your